Are you tired of spending your time and money chasing strategy after strategy only to discover what worked 10, 5, or even 2 years ago is not working now? Things shift fast in the online space, and if you're not keeping up, you're getting left behind. It's time for something different. Welcome to the Marketing, Media, and Money Podcast, where every single episode will be jam-packed with proven, profitable strategies, behind-the-scenes secrets, and what's working now resources from industry experts and global influencers to help you scale your business, shorten your learning curve, and stand out in a crowded, noisy marketplace. And now, your host, award-winning marketing and media strategist, and international speaker, Patty Farmer.
Welcome, everybody, to this episode of the Marketing, Media, and Money Podcast. I'm looking forward to sharing another amazing industry expert with you today. And I am really excited about our guest today because it's somebody that I have known for quite a while, somebody who I feel has been a great inspiration to me. I've actually hired her myself, so I can endorse her on so many levels. She is the best of the best as far as I'm concerned. So let me tell you a little bit about her. So Alyson Lex is the copy coach and direct response copywriter that makes the magic happen in your sales letters, landing pages, lead magnets, and email campaigns. She helps entrepreneurs just like you create winning copy for your business, whether you simply need a second set of eyes or you want someone to do it all for you. She's got the experience, nearly 10 years, to back it up, and she's written for clients all over the world, changing their incomes one sales page at a time. She is the leading expert on all things direct response marketing to her current business serving private clients. Alyson lives and breathes copy, and not just copy, high converting copy. So thanks so much, Alyson, for being here today with me.
Thank you so much for having me. I am super excited, and I love any opportunity I get to spend time and work with you.
You are so awesome. So let's just start with the journey. One of the things that I think is really, really interesting is I love talking to people about how they got to where they are, because I know for me, I didn't just wake up one day and say, oh, I think I'm going to own a marketing company and speak and write some books. And I didn't do that. Right. And as a matter of fact, if 8 years ago, somebody would have told me that I'm doing what I'm doing now, I wouldn't even have believed it then. So for you, where did you get to where you are now? What's the story of how you had this aha moment and just said, you know what, I think I'm going to write copy?
So my story is that I fell into it. Fully fell into it. I was an education major in college, and I realized that being a teacher was not for me. I took a class that had existing teachers and none of them were happy, and I didn't want that for myself. So I had a little bit of an existential crisis, didn't know what I was going to do, floated around school for a couple years, taking random English and psych classes just for fun, decided to get a big girl job and answered a Craigslist ad to be an administrative assistant at this marketing company called Glazer-Kennedy Insider Circle. And for those of the listeners that don't know, Glazer-Kennedy is one of the foremost info marketing companies in the world. They teach business owners, entrepreneurs how to make more money using direct response marketing. And I fell in love with it. I had no idea about it, the whole world, when I started there, and I was immediately completely hooked. And within 3 years, about 3 years later, I left. But when I left, I was the director of marketing. So I went from admin assistant to director of marketing in under 3 years. And that's how I got started, writing copy. I wrote my first sales letter for them in 2007.
Wow.
Yeah. So 12 years writing copy and about 10 out on my own.
That is fabulous. And like I said, you're doing it so well. I love everything you do, not just the way you write copy. I love the way you show up. I love the way you post on social media. I love the way you communicate. Literally for me, the experience was the most stressless experience I've ever had. And writing copy for me is really, really tough. It's not something that comes easy for me. I feel like even though I'm in the marketing industry, I really do well with modifying. I just have
yeah.
white paper paralysis. I just sit down. That's why I don't even have a blog on my website. It's like, I don't want to blog. I write articles for my magazines, but other than that, I don't really want to blog. I just sit down and it's like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to say. But if I have something that somebody else already has, and I can look and say, oh, I think this word's better. Oh, I like this.
Exactly.
Or I like this, but it's just not really something that comes easy to me. So what's the difference between copy and high converting copy? Because I know that, we see landing pages, we see sales pages, then there's web copy, then there's blogs. So there's lots of copy out there.
Absolutely.
And, I think I remember the really, really, really long sales pages, just like we used to have really, really long blog posts, right?
Yeah, I love writing those things.
Exactly, right? And so what's the difference, really?
Yeah. So there are different types of copy, like you just mentioned, but I really first like to split everything up into content or copy. So if it's content, its primary objective is to educate. That's your blog posts, any video script that you have for an educational, like YouTube video, Facebook posts that are designed to be high value. Anything that's designed to educate falls into the content world. And then anything that's designed to sell or convert, because selling does not necessarily mean an exchange of money. Anything that's designed to sell or convert is copy. Okay. And when I say that selling doesn't always involve an exchange of money, you can sell someone on an idea. You can sell them on the need to exchange their email address for your lead magnet, to invest their time with you, right? There are a lot more currencies out there than just money. And then highly converting copy is, in my world, is direct response. So you have brand copy, which is what you see on Madison Avenue and Mad Men or what have you. Big companies tend to use branding copy, your taglines, right? The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup, right? Great copy, because I just rattled it off and it doesn't hurt that I drink Folgers, but it's not designed for conversion. It's brand awareness. So your conversion copy is that enter your email address and get my thing, or sign up for this now. It has that super hyper specific action. That's your conversion copy.
So that kind of reminds me, like when I am teaching people about what is brand versus brand identity versus branding. Each one of them has a purpose, very explicit person. It's very important sometimes to get them in the right order, right?
Absolutely.
So when you're doing copy for someone, how do you really learn their voice?
Some of it is intuitive, right? So I do believe that everybody has the ability to write copy, but not everybody has the ability to be a copywriter, which I think is a distinction as well. I think anybody can write copy for their own business, but to write copy for someone else's business does require a little bit of a little bit of empathy, a little bit of intuitiveness. It's a little bit of an art and a science. But really, a lot of it is I spend time talking to that person. I review any materials they already have. For instance, with you, I listen to some of your podcasts, although it helped that we've, worked together on a different podcast before. I stalk them on social media. I read their personal page and their public page. I kind of let their words wash over me. And frankly, when I work for clients, I never guarantee a 100% right off the bat. I'm always going to try, but I want people to go into the relationship with the expectation that there will be edits. I'm not going to hit it 100% out of the park the very first time.
Well, you're not going to read their mind. It's a process.
Right. But the longer we work together, the easier it is. I have clients that I've been working with for years and we don't have edits anymore because I've got it. I've been doing it.
I have to say, our process was, once I realized, and, by the time I realized, oh my gosh, this just Patty, like hire someone, right? I thought to myself, I felt like if I did, what was I saying? That I couldn't write my own copy. And I remember thinking to myself, to give myself grace, because people like to do things in different ways, like how we communicate, right? Some people like text and some people like phone and some people like email and some people like to read their stuff. Some people, they want to see their stuff. So I kind of told myself that was what it was. And when I reached out to you, and I remember really clearly telling you, don't send me no 20-page questionnaire. Don't send me no 20-page questionnaire, because if I could write all the answers to that questionnaire, I could write my own copy, right?
Right.
And I remember saying, you're going to need to talk to me. And one of the things that I remember was when we got on that call and you just asked me questions and we were talking, and I remember saying, okay, I'm ready, Alyson. You can go ahead and, do the interview now and ask me the questions. And you said, Patty, I already have 5 pages of notes. We're done. And I was like, wow. So it was a great process for me, because you just asked me how I felt, and I just got to talk instead of going, oh, I wanted to say this or that, or thinking about that. I just got to talk about how I felt and how I wanted to serve and how I like to show up. And the process was fabulous. And I got to tell you, when I even saw, we did a little bit of editing and tweaking, not much, but we did do some. But I have to tell you, I was so surprised when I saw it, because I couldn't believe how much you did have my voice down pretty good. Although listening to you say what your process is, I'm everywhere all over the place. So it's not like I didn't have a lot of stuff to see. Right. But I have to tell you, I thought it was really a great experience. And I have always believed that things that you don't do well or don't like to do, you're just not going to do them. You're just not going to get them done. And so why don't you just work on your own brilliance and hire other people to work in theirs, right? And this is just another thing, right? And I think that people should realize, I know a lot of people, like I ask people all the time, do you write your own copy? And I have to tell you, Alyson, I've even taken copy courses, and it still didn't do it for me. And finally I was just like, you know what? You can't be good at everything. And so thank God there's people like you who are good at that. So
look, I have somebody who cleans my house. I have someone who keeps my books. I can recognize what I'm not good at and say, it's time for me to let it go. And I am one of those holder honor people. I love to hold on to everything, because of course nobody can do it as well as I can, because this is my baby and it's my thing. But that's not the case. That being said, when it does come to your copy, you should at least know how to recognize good copy. That way you don't get shafted by a copywriter, but also how to create little things on the fly. If you're in the Bahamas for a weekend and decide to run a quick sale, you don't want to have to run the project through your copywriter. You want to be able to at least put together a quick email that's serviceable. Doesn't have to be the best email that anybody's ever written. Let go of that idea, but put together something that's serviceable. And being able to do that allows you to have a little bit more flexibility in your business, which is what we ultimately all really want anyway, is some flexibility. The other thing, and this really, you brought it up when you mentioned that when we had our talk, I wasn't trying to, what do you want this to say? Because then you edit yourself too much. And I think that's a lot of the problem that people have, is we try to overwork the words so much that we end up losing all of ourselves in them. And so for someone like you, who you sit down and you have blank document syndrome, but frankly, you get on a phone call with a friend and you can talk for 6 hours, right? I can too. I love it.
Oh, don't we know it?
Speak your blog posts, speak your copy. There are apps on your phone that can record. You send it over to rev.com. They'll transcribe it for $1 a minute. And you now have something that you can edit. So there are ways to write that don't involve sitting down in front of a blank Word document as well. So consider
that's how I wrote my books. I spoke all my books and then did that. But there is a difference even in writing a book, of course, and then writing high converting sales copy. And absolutely. I was at Grant Cardone's conference in Miami, and he said the funniest thing, but in being funny, he made a point, right? Like so many people do. And he said that when he wrote his book, people would write to him and say, oh, that should have been a semicolon, or this should be this, or they were, because everybody's a critic, right? And he said, I said it was a bestseller. I didn't say it was a best written. And I thought that was so funny, but it made the point, right? Because it's like, are you there for the content, or, what is it that you're looking for? So I think that's important. So it's like, so what I think I'm hearing you say is, just like in so many other things, I say this in marketing all the time too. And when you're on social media, what is it that you want it to do? Like, what's the goal of what you want it to do? So is it sales copy? Is it, how do you want it to convert? Do you want them to pick up the phone? Do you want them to book the strategy session with you? What is it that you want? So with that in mind, what are some questions would you say that people need to ask themselves before they're making the decision of, is this something I should do myself? Is this something I should, hire? Like, what are some questions that they should ask themselves?
Well, the first question really is this going to get done? Right? Am I going to hate this so much that I'm going to put it off until 11:30 the night before my midnight launch, and then I'm going to scramble and throw something together because I'm just out of time? If the answer to that is yes, I am going to put this off, or no, it's not going to get done, then maybe it's time to get somebody from, somebody in to help you out. And the second thing is, do I feel confident that I can get this to convert at the level that I need it to? And I think that's a really important distinction, right? We don't necessarily need conversions for conversion's sake, right? If you're soft launching a lead magnet, as in you're not running Facebook ads, you're not really heavily promoting it, you're just going to kind of toss it into your rotation on Twitter, then maybe you don't need to worry about it, because those 6 visitors a week is not that big a deal, right? Let's face it, if you're soft launching or not even pushing it. But if you're ready to launch your new signature program and it's time for your big list build to fill your list beforehand, then yeah, maybe it's time to consider, hey, I'm going to need some higher conversion percentages on this. And now it's time to call in the expert. And really, is the budget that I'm going to outlay for this worth it? If I'm selling a $7 program, I don't want to pay $10,000 to a copywriter to write the sales page. It's just, the ROI isn't going to be there. I'm going to have to sell so many of them before I can even make my money back. But if I'm selling a $5,000 signature, group coaching program, and the sales page is going to cost me $3,000, I literally need less than 1 sale to make up for it. The rest is profit and gravy. You know what I mean? Like, really look at the numbers. Is this something that makes sense?
Well, I think sometimes by waiting and waiting and waiting and not having somebody else do it, I think that it actually costs you money to not hire someone, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at what it's going to cost you, but what's the cost of not doing it, right? And I think that is really important when you're thinking about it. And that's why I think that sometimes people should don't think of it as a fee or as a cost. It's an investment.
Totally.
Right. And you need to think of that as an investment in your business. So you're right. What is the cost? And I talk to people about that a lot, my clients too, and potential clients, really, when they say, oh, this is what's happening. This is what's happening in my marketing. And it's like, well, what's the cost of not hiring somebody to do it? Not everybody knows how to market for themselves too. And just posting stuff on social media is not marketing. Right. And we know that. So I think it is really, really important. Now, I've heard you say that you have some pillars of copy.
I do.
Tell me about that. That sounds interesting.
It is. It's fun. So I have 5 pillars of sales copy in general, basically things to remember when you're creating your marketing. And I'm going to pull up my notes so I put them in the right order.
Okay.
So I know, right? I had to quick go to the post where I had that. So pillar number 1 is to make it personal. And this really is because we are hit with thousands and thousands and thousands of marketing messages every single day, and we're overwhelmed, and we're going to miss it if it's not personal to us. So at the very top, high level, use personalization when you can. Obviously, a Facebook post you can't personalize, but an email you can. If you're sending direct mail, you can. Always personalize with their name whenever you can. But more than that, you want to really make it connect with them. So this really requires that you know who your ideal client is, who your perfect target audience is, and really use your words to show them that you get them on a deeper level. The reason this is important is that even though we're all super connected, and I could literally call across the world with a touch of a button, we're all still very isolated and very alone. We all live in our own heads, and it's lonely in there sometimes. So if we see messaging that shows that someone else understands the crazy that's underneath our skull, we're a little more likely to connect with it, and on a lighter note, things that your ideal audience is interested in. For instance, I am a crazy cat lady, totally admit it. I own it. And I get marketing sometimes from cat related brands that's like, hey, crazy cat lady, or hey, all of this. And it instant connection because it's personalized to something real about me. So that is actually one of the brands that that I purchased from, Cat Lady Box, actually has a Facebook ad that says, Facebook told us you might be into cats. Like, you know what I mean? Just really upfront about it. And it connected with me. And I was, yeah, I totally am. So anything that you can do to personalize it, either with their name or with their interests or their deeper feelings, fears, dreams, is going to increase that connection they have with you and increase that opportunity for them to buy.
So would you say that if they're trying to connect at that point in this pillar, should they be speaking first person or third? Because I know a lot of times I see people from page to page on their website, or some of their stuff is in first person, some of it is in third person. Is there a rule?
So I typically like first person simply because people work with people, right? So even if you're at a big company of 800,000 people, you're still one person. People buy from people. That being said, if your business or your organization has created this identity of its own, right? If you think of someone like Apple or an organization like Apple, Google, I can think of tech companies off the top of my head, but they tend to have like their identity of their own. And so then it's kind of okay to go third person in that respect.
Because it's a brand.
If you're the face of your business, you should be talking as the face of your business. It should be you.
So on the about page, like for example, on a website, that should be in first person, but your bio is kind of sometimes in third person.
It can be really confusing. I like conversational copy. I like it. I write like I speak, and I very rarely talk about myself in the third person. Really only when I'm talking to my kid, and then it's mommy. But you know, it's, if you write like you speak, one, your personality is going to come out a little bit more, and it's going to be easier for people to understand as well. So, you know, you have a professional bio. I have a bio that, you know, might be read at introductions to podcasts or when I'm on a stage or something like that. But when I'm talking or when I'm writing, it's, yeah, I'm the crazy cat lady who happens to be a really kick-butt copywriter. Like, it's super first person. Whereas, you know, Alyson Lex is this copywriter and she's this, and it feels a little more forced. It feels a little more corporate. And I think especially in today's world where we are seeking that connection, we are looking for that authentic, you know, the word authentic's been thrown around a lot lately, but I think it's
important.
We really are seeking it. We're really seeking people who are who they say they are and show up the way they say they're going to show up. And if you can get that in your marketing, you know, it's a little more personal that way too.
I like that. I know one of the nicest things that people say to me that I just really, really love is when people say, Patty, when I meet you in person or I hear you speak, you're exactly like how you are on Facebook. Like, when I meet you, I don't feel like you're a different person. You're exactly the same. And that is really, really important to me to make sure.
It is. And I think that that's really the way that business in general is headed. And so people buy from people becomes even more important. I remember I went to an event and I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I was ready to buy, and it was not a cheap program. And the owner of the company shared something deeply personal that was something that I had experienced as well. Again, deeply personal. And after his presentation, I went to talk to him about that just for a moment. You know, I wasn't looking for a huge sit-down dinner or anything. And I got brushed off and I didn't buy.
Of course.
And not only did I unsubscribed. I have not had nice things to say about the company. Not that I blast them publicly, but if people approach me privately about them, I tell them my experience.
Well, because we wanted to align with our values and our belief of what they're telling us they are.
That he had this persona on the stage that he hadn't even gotten off the stage, and I saw that it wasn't true.
That's sad.
Very sad, but it's that important. And actually, I was at that event with a friend and she had already purchased and got a refund.
Wow. See, so it can really bite you.
Mm-hmm. So it's that important to be personal and to connect on a real level, you know?
I think it is. So what's pillar number 2?
Pillar number 2 is poke the bruise.
Poke the bruise?
Poke the bruise. So here I am talking about being personal and being authentic, and now I want you to beat somebody up. So do you ever, maybe this is just me, do you ever run into a wall or a door or a table and you have a bruise? And right when you do it, it hurts like the dickens. And you know, ow, oh my goodness, major pain, active pain, right? And then maybe 24, 36 hours later, it doesn't hurt anymore until you bump that spot or rub it or slide your shirt on or your kid hits it or a cat jumps on, whatever, right? And all of a sudden it hurts again. You have gone back into active pain from passive. So really, this is indicative of the two states that we live in regarding our problems at any time, active pain and passive pain. When we're in active pain, that's right when we've either just poked the bruise or just made the bruise. And whatever pain we have is actively on our brain, hurting us right now. It's something that we're thinking about. It's something that we're worried about. It's something we're stressing about. And it's in the front of our lives, in front of our faces right this second. When we're in passive pain, the injury is still there, but it doesn't bother us right now. We're going about our daily lives. We're going to work. We're going to school. We're hanging with our kids. We're doing whatever it is we're doing. And only when we're reminded that we have that injury does it come back to the front of our mind. Okay, so that's kind of the setup there. The same is true with anything you do. Any pain that you solve, there's either active state or passive state. If you're a weight loss coach, there are times when your audience is feeling really down on themselves. They're thinking how they need to lose weight. They, you know, my clothes don't fit, whatever. They're in active pain, but they're not walking around all day like that. They're going to work, they're going to school, they're hanging with their kid, they're doing what they got to do. So poking the bruise just means reminding them of their problem to get them back into the active pain state.
This reminds me of the difference between target market and target buyer. I tell people all the time, your target market is somebody who has a problem and you have a solution, but your target buyer is somebody who has a problem that you have the solution, but they're actively looking for the solution.
And so by poking the bruise is how you turn your target market into your target buyer.
Ooh, and with some good copy, that makes it a whole lot easier.
That's the point. So we do that through agitating their pain, reminding them of the problem that they have, letting them know that we understand how it's affecting their lives, not just on the surface, but on a deeper level, as well as showing them what their lives could look like if they continue to not solve this problem. We show them that we understand that they've tried X, Y, and Z solution, and that maybe they're frustrated enough to just go back to doing nothing, because that's always an option for your buyer, is to do nothing. And so we do that, and it kind of just re-agitates the pain, but it also lets them know, it goes back to pillar one, we get them. We live with them in their head. We understand. We're there with you. It's personal for us. So they tie together really well, but poking the bruise is super important.
I like it. So what's pillar 3?
Pillar 3. This one is a fun one. It is don't wimp out. And if I talk about this on a stage, I use this really wimpy guy with his, doing the muscle pose. It's like my favorite picture ever. But so basically, a lot of the times we'll spend all of this effort, energy, time, what have you, into really identifying with our market and poking the bruise and showing them how we can help them through this pain. And then we say something like, yeah, so if you want, you can just go ahead and maybe click this. We kneecap ourselves, right? Oh, maybe you could just go ahead and click this. We don't come at them with a really strong call to action. We don't give them the offer. We kneecap what we're saying. If you feel it's not right for you, no, dude, it's right for you. If this is your problem, this is your solution. So don't wimp out is really important.
But it is so true though. And a lot of times people really don't. And I'm a firm believer of, if you are highlighting for someone and they're talking about their problem and you have a solution, you're actually doing them a disservice to not invite them to actually go with you on the journey to solving their problem. I mean, that's just kind of like, oh yeah, I see you have this problem. Too bad. So sad.
Yeah, like, sucks for you. What?
Exactly.
I think that that's definitely a mindset issue that I've seen a lot with my clients or prospective clients, that they don't want to go too salesy. They don't want to push too hard. They don't want to, why? Why? Like, first of all,
They can say no.
well, they can absolutely say no. You are running a business. You are an expert in what you do, which means you have the right and you deserve to be paid fairly for what it is that you solve, right? That's just first thing. It is totally cool to get paid for doing what you do. I do.
Me too.
Secondly, your people are in real pain. We're not in the business of making up pain, right? We're not scamming people.
But you didn't know, you didn't hit them over the head to get the pain.
Right. You didn't cause it. You're solving it. And that's okay. And third, Dan Kennedy always used to say that he's going to market to them until they buy or die. And I've added a third to bring it into the modern generation to say buy, die, or unsubscribe. Like you said, they can always say no. They can always get off my list. I'm not forcing them into this.
And I would prefer them to get off my list if they don't.
Thank you.
If I'm not bringing them value and you're not my person,
right?
Don't feel like you have to stay on there. It actually costs me money to have you on my list. So I want to nurture you and, give you value. But if for whatever reason something has changed in your business or your life, my feelings aren't going to be hurt. You have to do what you need to do for your business. And if that means unsubscribe, that's great. Everybody reads email with one finger on the delete button.
Oh yeah, totally. If I read it at all. No. I have told a number of prospects that I've gotten on the phone with, we're not a good fit. I'm not the right copywriter for everyone. And it's okay. There are no hard feelings. Of course, I'd love to be able to help you, but I just can't for whatever reason. So don't wimp out when it comes to making the offer. Make the offer, make it bold. Don't be afraid of sharing your price. Don't try to hide anything. Just, this is what it is. This is why it's awesome. This is what it's going to do for you. This is how much it costs, and here's how to get it. And I think the really important thing is always tell them step by step what to do next.
I think that's important.
Fill out your credit card information. You're going to get an email from me that's going to have your link. Tell them what to expect.
They need to know. You said something that I thought was really interesting when you're talking about that. Where do you sit? Because I know people, it's kind of a fine line, and some people kind of go on one side or the other. So where are you on the fence about putting pricing on your website? I mean, here you have this great copy. Now, a sales page obviously is a sales page, right? But I have actually seen sales pages, though, where it sounds really good and they don't put the price anywhere, and I have to actually hit the button and go all the way over to PayPal before I finally figure out what the price is. That always feels kind of sleazy to me. I usually get mad and don't like that.
That's wimping out.
Yeah, so I don't like that, but because I know it's a sales page. So, I mean, if I'm reading a sales page and I know it's a sales page, what's the investment? Like, I'm okay with that, right? But I'm talking about like other stuff. So like when people are writing copy that maybe is not quite that, do you think people should put their pricing on their website, or do you think is there a rule of thumb, or what do you think? What's your opinion?
I do not put my pricing on my website. I get asked about pricing a lot, and my personal process is to have a discovery call first before I reveal pricing. The reason being that my prices are high enough to induce sticker shock for some people if they haven't had the experience of a discovery call with me. And, I don't, my sales trainer friends would kill me for this, but I don't use a script during my discovery calls. It's really finding out about the project, throwing some ideas around, and then I send a proposal afterward. But I do say, my prices have a comma in them.
And I think that that's okay too, because I don't put my prices up either. And I'm actually specialize in pricing strategy, right? I don't do it though, because I feel like when you put pricing and you say, here's my packages, blah, 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 and here's the price, well, that's great. And if they fit into that mold, that's awesome. but most of my people don't. And I'm not trying to put you into my packages. I want to have a call with you so I can figure out what you need so that I can serve you by giving you something that is actually what you need, and not saying, oh no, my package comes with this. You don't need that. Too bad. That's what my package comes with.
And
right?
I do custom packages.
Exactly.
And another thing that's happened a couple of times is we've gotten on the phone and we've talked about what they need, and what they really need is less than what they think they need. And I say, you know what, you've actually got some really good stuff here, and what you need is just some tweaks and a review. So I'm going to give you a copy, and that's a much lower investment than writing everything from scratch. And so it is really important for me to see everything so that I can say things like that. I don't want to charge you for custom copy if I'm not doing it.
That makes sense.
My bookkeeper, for instance, she puts her pricing up there because this packages are all pretty standard. Like, you need X, Y, and Z. Like, this is what you need for your books. It's just, and it's starting at, but then you still have the discovery call. She still sends a proposal, because during my call with her, we discovered I needed a little bit more than I thought. And so the pricing changed. So I think if you do custom packages that really you can't, I mean, not everybody needs a landing page, sales letter, 3 series of emails. Not everybody needs that. Like you said, if you're super custom and you can't put your prices out there, then I absolutely wouldn't. And I probably wouldn't put your prices just on your website to begin with, unless it's in the context of a sales page.
I like it. That sounds good. Thank you.
I think
so. What's
fair.
The fourth pillar? Are we on the fourth pillar? We're on the fourth pillar, right?
We are. This is Homer Simpson. So a very dear friend of mine used to say that you need to act as if your target audience is full of Homer Simpsons. And that's why I named this pillar Homer Simpson, because it's easy to remember. But what I also like to say is it doesn't matter how sophisticated, educated, smart, beautiful, worldly, cultured your audience is. Everybody's had bad days where they do not have the mental energy to put effort into anything. We've all had them. We all will have them. And so has everybody else. And so when I was talking in pillar 3 about, telling them what to do next, giving them crystal clear instruction, really making it easy for them to know what's going to happen, this leads into that. You want to speak to people who do not have the mental energy to give you more than what they've, have you ever had those days where you're just like, yeah, I don't have it. Nope, don't got it. Speak to your audience as if they have those days. The reason is we don't want to make them do more work than they have to.
Because they won't.
Don't make a link on your website to find the button they need to click. Just give them the button or give them the link. Don't use huge, I call them SAT words, right? Don't use these big 85 syllable words just for the sake of sounding smart, unless it's industry jargon that everyone in your audience will immediately understand right off the bat. Don't use the word. Really look for any kind of stumbling blocks in your copy, on your pages, in your posts, that someone who doesn't have a lot of mental energy that day is going to see this and say, nope, don't have it, and click the X. We want to avoid that. We also want to give them really clear expectations so that they know what's going to happen. Think about when you're in a restaurant and you walk in and you get led to your table, and then 5 seconds later you realize, should have used the ladies' room or the men's room or the potty, whatever you want to call it, but you have absolutely no idea even what direction to start walking, right? It's like that instant little confusion panic. It's that little moment of, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to do. I'm stuck, that we want to avoid for your customers. If we can just guide them through the process of working with you, it'll make it easier for them to say yes to mine in the first place.
That makes sense. And what's pillar 5?
Pillar 5 is Energizer Bunny, right?
This has been fun.
The Energizer Bunny keeps going and going and going, much like me when I get on a roll. The point with that is, don't just do one and done marketing, right? Just sending one email to your list is not going to convert. It takes between 7 to 12 emails for them to make a buying decision with you. I've even seen stats that it can take 25 or more touches, right? Connections with you before someone is even ready to think about buying. So just one email is not going to cut it. Multiple emails, continue working with them. If you have prospects that have fallen off the cliff, send them a message. Hey, is this still a problem for you? Whatever you can do to just keep that marketing going until your deadline, right? Don't keep going past your deadline. If you have set a deadline or set a number of people you're accepting into your program or what have you, stick to that. Don't stop before then. Keep going.
Well, those were some good pillars. And I think sometimes when people think about copy, I know this was what it was for me. Mm-hmm. We just have like a stumbling block, right? Where there's like something where we're getting in our own way, right? My husband likes to tell me all the time, he's like, honey, the reason why you don't do copies because you don't want to do it. You don't like doing it, right? So we all have some of that. We also have fears, like, oh, it won't convert or whatever the reason could be. What was the biggest, maybe the obstacle or roadblock that you had to overcome?
For writing copy?
No, for anything in your business.
Oh, it's totally the imposter syndrome thing. The biggest thing that I caught myself doing was comparing my blooper reel to someone else's highlight reel.
Ooh, that's good.
So I would see, especially on social media, I would see these people that, meteoric rise. For example, I saw Russell Brunson when he was speaking on the GKIC stage years before ClickFunnels was ever even part of his imagination. And he was just getting started. And now all of a sudden, Russell Brunson, huge company, super smart. I mean, always been a super smart guy, right? Ryan Dice, same thing. And so it's very easy for me to be like, man, I saw them when they were kind of just starting out. Around the same time, I was just, I had just gotten started. And now, like, look at the difference. Okay, well, there have been a lot of differences in our lives in that time that I'm not privy to the struggles that they've gone through. I'm not privy to what they've done. I'm not privy to their blooper reel. So why am I just looking at their highlight reel and comparing it to my blooper reel? Another thing is, someone else's path is not your path, and neither is their timeline.
Exactly, because sometimes some people just choose not to work as hard. They may choose to say, I'm only going to do this, as much as somebody else might say, you know what, I'm going to throw every single thing I have at it for X amount of time. So you don't even know what the road is that they're on.
Exactly. And so I think that, recognizing that everybody's journey is their own, especially as it pertains to building and growing your business, is so important. I still struggle with it. Like, I'm not gonna pretend that I'm like totally cured. My therapist would yell at me for saying that, but
it's a journey. It's a journey. But I appreciate that you're being vulnerable, because I know that we all have it. So,
hey, I'm a hot mess. That's how I show up.
Hey, our mess is our message. That's what we say, right? So, what's your favorite social media platform for you?
I'm a Facebooker.
You're a Facebooker?
I'm a Facebooker. I like my Facebook. I like sharing my cat and kid pictures. I like being able to be in groups and message. And frankly, I never really understood Instagram or Twitter. I like Pinterest a lot, but I'm Facebook all day.
Okay, I get it. So Alyson, what does success mean to you in your life? For you, what does success mean? How would you define it for you?
Success for me is not having to wonder where my next vacation fund is coming from. I think that denotes that, bills are paid, food's on the table, and I still get to enjoy life's little luxuries.
That's nice. What do you love the most about your business today? I mean, it's been a journey all along, but where you are right now, what are you just loving about your business?
So professionally, I love that I get to work with such a variety of people. And also, because my audience is primarily in the coaching and expert space, I feel like I'm helping them make a difference in the world. So I'm kind of starting the ripple, and I feel like I can help change the world. Personally, I get to take off pretty much whenever I want and go on field trips with my kid. Or yesterday I took a nap. That was really nice.
Oh, that's always really nice. That's really, really nice. So what's next for you? What project are you working on? What's next for you?
Yeah, so I'm getting ready to actually launch an info product. It's called Booked Coaches Email Templates. and it's marketing Mad Lib style templates that coaches and experts can use to fill their calendars with sales calls.
Wow.
I know, I've been building that in secret for a while now.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to, when is that going to be coming out? How long do we have
As soon
before
as I could get my act together.
I'm not touching that, Alyson.
No.
I'm just
Look,
really not going to.
One of the struggles that I have is implementation. Our mess is our message. I'm working on it. No, it's
well, Cobble's kids have no shoes. We all know, right?
Cobble's kids are totally barefoot.
Like, I totally get it.
I'm hoping by the end of 2019.
Oh, well, there you go. So this is the Marketing, Media, and Money show. So I always ask every one of our influencers and experts to share what's a strategy or a tip that you would like to share with our audience.
So a tip that I think we've touched on a lot here, but maybe not said out loud, is it is entirely possible to write your own copy. It is. Just do it. I would actually rather see you have not great copy than no copy, because not great copy has a shot at converting. No copy, no conversion.
Done, not perfect.
Done, not perfect is a big thing. And if you get out there and give it a shot and start learning what works for you and for your audience, then you can get more confident creating copy and get to a point where you're outsourcing simply because you don't want to do it, not because you don't know how to do it.
Oh, I love that. I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't think people don't really realize that, right? So Alyson, you told me that you have something that you would love to talk about. I think it is like a little freebie that you would like to share.
I do have a freebie.
Yay.
So white page syndrome is a thing for us all. And as such, I have put together a headline generator. This headline generator will help you come up with 6 awesome headlines in 30 seconds, completely customized, marketing Mad Lib style, as we just talked about with my templates. But it's a PDF download that helps you fill in the blanks and learn the elements of a good headline. And that's at AlysonLex.com/headlines.
That is awesome. Will it work for like blog post titles or maybe subject lines, that kind of stuff too?
Or anything you want. Yeah, really, it's great for sales page headlines, but it could be a great blog post title, generator, subject lines, any of it.
I love that. Thank you so much. So Alyson, how would people connect with you?
The best place is at AlysonLex.com. That's where I live. And there are links to all my social, but I'm also Facebook.com/AlysonLex. Like I try to be Alyson Lex everywhere.
You try to be there. That's really good.
I think on Twitter, I'm the Alyson Lex.
The Alyson Lex. Oh, I like that.
Well, Alyson Lex was taken, so I had to go with the.
That's funny. So Alyson, we have this little thing at the end that I like to do because I want to make sure that I serve you as well as the audience. And you have been so generous and shared all this great stuff. So I had a lot of writer downers myself.
Good.
So we call this portion of the show Open Mic. We call it social karaoke. That's what it is. So we're going to give you the opportunity to have the open mic and share with me and my audience anything that maybe we didn't cover here. Like maybe there's something special you want to share. You know, this is kind of open mic. We're not even going to censor you. So just, what would you like to share?
So one of the things that I used to write all the time that I don't get to write for clients anymore is direct mail. And with the move, I mean, I write some, but not a lot. And with the internet and Facebook ads and all of that, direct mail has really kind of been seen as too hard, too expensive, too big of an investment to do anything with. And I want to just challenge that with the idea that when you see an ad in your Facebook feed, you scroll by 9 times out of 10. When you get an email in your inbox, if it even makes it to your inbox and not your promotions folder, you may not read it 9 times out of 10. But when you get a letter in your mailbox, you sit down on the sofa and you go through the mail and you open stuff and you look. And it has changed. It used to be that you would throw away your physical mail and read your email like crazy, but it's flip-flopped again. And so the conversion rate on direct mail is starting to go up. And the other thing is Facebook ad costs are starting to go up. So if you can build, find, buy, a physical list of mailing addresses, do it. And give direct mail a shot again. It doesn't have to be like this big, huge, over-the-top thing, although if you want, we can always talk about that. But try reaching out to potential clients, prospects that have fallen off the radar, hot leads via direct mail, and see if you get a better response than through some of the online methods. And let me know if you want help writing it, because I love writing direct mail.
That's awesome, and a great segue, if I may say so. And I'm going to add on to your tip too. One of the things that I found out recently about that, which super surprised me, is if you belong to any organizations, maybe networking organizations that are online as well, that you fill out a profile. One of the things I didn't realize is I get things in the mail all the time. Somebody sent me a mug with my logo on it, and somebody sent me brownies. And I thought, how did they get my email? How did they get my address? I couldn't figure it out. And I finally just asked someone, I'm like, how did you get my address? Because if people say that to me, if I know them, I don't have a problem giving them my address. How did you get my address? And they said, oh, well, when you filled out your profile, it was asked for in your profile. Mm-hmm. So you may already belong to an organization that you already have an affinity with, right? There's already something you do there. Go look at it and see if in that profile, if you put your address in there. Because if you did, pretty much so did everybody else. Mm-hmm. And that's a good opportunity to be able to, you may already have it. So that was a really good tip.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, and two, buying and selling email lists is frowned upon, if not outright illegal, depending on where you live.
Exactly.
Buying a list of mailing addresses, totally okay.
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
There are list brokers that's what they do.
Well, that is really interesting. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much, Alyson, for being here today. That was really just great information. You were very, very generous, as you always are. And for the audience out there, if you enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and review the podcast on your favorite listening platform. And remember, sharing is caring. Make sure you grab Alyson's gift. That's a real good one. I'm going to get it myself as soon as we get off this podcast. Thank you again, Alyson. It was great to talk to you. And for everybody else, we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you for joining us today on the Marketing, Media, and Money podcast. To shorten your learning curve even more, make sure to grab your free copy of the Marketing, Media, and Money magazine at www.marketingmediamoney.com. I promise your business will thank you.